What's up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to the channel. I'm Mike Thornton, and I'm excited to be talking with you folks again. It's been 10 days. Feels longer, but even 10 days is a bit too long. Usually I stream on the weekend, as most of you know, but life gets in the way and things come up, and I had to adjust my schedule. So here I am today. But man, we are 3 days away from the NFL kickoff on Thursday Night Football. And of course, we're 6 days away where the Bills open in Buffalo against Pittsburgh. Couldn't be more excited. Today, I wanted to wait until the dust settled from last week. We had to get down to the 53-man active roster. I wanted to see who we signed on the practice squad. And I wanted to wait for all those things to happen before we got back together and talked a little bit. I'm not going to go player by player. I'm going to go by position. And today I just felt like a quick little conversation with you all, talking about the different positions and whether or not I think we've elevated enough to get to the next level. I'm gonna say, do we have enough to beat the likes of Kansas City and Baltimore and Cleveland, from what the experts are saying? So first of all, I'm gonna spoiler alert, I believe this is a year we're gonna jump to that next level. I believe we can seriously take the Super Bowl down, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Before I get into that, I just want to make you aware of an amazing giveaway this channel is going to have starting in the next 3 to 6 days. What you have to do, though, is you have to subscribe and you have to hit that notification so that you're alerted to when we drop the video about the giveaway. It is an amazing giveaway. It's going to run for 30 days. There'll be more details about it. We're going to do a lot of good things for people. We're going to make this a fun giveaway and a lot of possibilities to get entries into the giveaway. It's something you won't want to miss. So let's move forward here. Let's talk about the show today. So again, let's go position by position. And again, I'm going to group the defensive line and the offensive line into one position. So it'll save us some time. And I'll make some notes and comments as we go through them. So first of all, starting with quarterback, I don't need to spend a lot of time here. Josh Allen, elite. Mitch Trubisky, elevated backup. And of course, we have two of the guys that played with us in preseason, Jake Fromm, Davis Webb on our practice squad. How amazing is that? All these guys are familiar with our system. But we have an elite quarterback, a $248 million quarterback who is primed and ready to take us even further. The only thing he's going to have to, I don't struggle with this year or get used to. I believe he's used to loud crowds and things like that, but he elevated his game last year and it was during a time when there really wasn't any home field advantage. Last year it was raw talent versus raw talent. The best team would win. Yeah, you had to travel, so as a visiting team you might be a little more tired, but really that was the only disadvantage to traveling. Now in this season going forward, the crowd noise, the crowds are going to have much bigger influence on the outcome of games. So for instance, if we had two teams that were close and we're playing an away game and that crowd is just so loud and they're causing issues with the offensive play calling, that's going to make a difference. That's going to make a big difference. So Josh has got to get used to that again. I believe he will. He's used to playing in a lot of large college games. He's played in Buffalo. He's played in other stadiums. He's familiar with that. But he did take his game to the next level when there were no crowds. I believe he'll continue with that. So quarterback, we're great to go here. Again, one reason already that I'm saying we're ready for a Super Bowl. Running backs, I don't know. You might think that I was one of those guys who said we should have drafted a running back in the second round this year. And we didn't. It didn't happen. And I just felt like last year, a team that throws the ball as well as us should have the advantage to run the ball. And it just didn't seem like we did. So we kept the same guys, Singletary and Moss, and we brought in Breida. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Having the same guys working together again with the same group year after year might be a very good thing. So maybe the elevation doesn't come from just those guys. Maybe the elevation comes from other areas, which I'll speak to in a minute. But I'll tell you what, Singletary looked impressive during preseason. His off-season workout seems to be working out for us. I mean, he looked very impressive. And if Zach Moss can just stay healthy, I think that alone, just him staying healthy, will elevate our running game. Now, I also have said this. Look, ever since Singletary and Moss started doing this 50-50 split, I didn't feel like Singletary was the same. Maybe it was a rhythm thing for him. And I'm hoping, in my opinion, if they're both healthy, I would love to see a 60-40 split with Singletary getting 60% and Moss getting 40. But of course, you're going to have to work in Breida once in a while as well. He's that speed guy. Hopefully, he makes some exciting things happen once in a while for us as well. But if Moss and Singletary stay healthy, those two guys are our main workhorses, right? Those are the two that are going to take us to the next level if we get there. All right, so let's talk about why I think another reason why this running back situation may get better. Not only have they been together now for a little bit, they're working with the same unit on offense. Not only Josh, but that offensive line. That offensive line, was already so good last year, and we have every starting person from last year starting this year. Not many teams can say that. We've added our two draft picks from this year, Spencer Brown and Tommy Doyle, to add depth to that line. We got Ryan Bates, Ike Butker, backing those up, not backing them up, but just adding depth. So we have fresh legs, and we have guys that can come in and fill the void if someone does get hurt. Offensive linemen get hurt all the time. They're in the trenches. The biggest guys are in the trenches. So things happen. You want to have depth on that offensive line, and we have it. We have the starters from last year. Again, I didn't do any research. Tell me how many teams have that luxury. Let me talk about the offensive line for KC for a moment. So we saw what happened in the Super Bowl, right? They got destroyed. Their offensive line just couldn't hold up against Tampa. And unfortunately, Mahomes was dinged up, and he did all that he could, but it just wasn't enough. Now, we know Mahomes can throw without any protection. Imagine what he's going to do if he has great protection. So they revamped the whole offensive line. However, while that looks great on paper, it looks like they're going to have this amazing pass protection, this amazing line. But we won't know that until game day, right? We won't know that till the season starts, because just because it looks great on paper, you can look back in history. Just because the team looks great on paper doesn't mean they're going to be great. So it might take some time for that team to gel, and we'll see. We'll see how that transpires over the season. Anyhow, I like our position, our situation, where we have everyone coming back, working in the system that they worked in last year, more familiar with it, and there's the first big reason, along with Josh, that I believe we're ready for the Super Bowl, that offensive situation. Now, this is also where I think our running game improves, right? You got an offensive line that's been working together for a few years now. It's only going to make the running game better. So maybe we didn't change players. Maybe we didn't need to. Maybe that offensive line just needed to get more familiar with the system. And now they'll have that ability. And so I do expect the run game to improve. Tight end. I don't know what to say here. I don't know what to say. Tight end was Dawson Knox. Looked so promising. Just hasn't transferred to the field yet. I'm hearing Sean McDermott say good things about him. I think he even said that if he talked to Josh, he'd say good things. They believe Knox is going to make an impact this year. During preseason, I didn't see that. Of course, it's preseason. I get it. All I really saw that stands out to me in preseason is him dropping a ball right in his hands that I feel any of us could have caught. Now, yes, we don't have 250, 300-pound guys waiting to kill us when we catch the ball, so I get that. But, it was right here in his hands. Come on now. So the tight end situation's interesting, right? We have Knox. We have Tommy Sweeney. I've mentioned when Tommy Sweeney does play, which hasn't been often because he seems to be um, injury ridden quite often. Of course, we know his situation with COVID last year. And so I believe he can make an impact if he can stay healthy. He's got great hands. He's not more athletic than Knox, but his hands are solid, and he'll make a lot of great plays that way. So we'll see. One interesting thing, I was going to talk about the practice squad later, but the Bills took a flyer on a guy named Kahale Waring. Now, interesting about him, in 2019, he was also drafted in the third round, just like Knox was drafted. He was actually drafted 10 picks higher than Knox. So I have to believe the Bills scouted him. They have some good information on him, and that's why they're taking a flyer. Poor guy missed his whole rookie season. I think he was on the injured reserve because of a concussion. He started the next season on the IR, got to play, I think it was 7 games, and he had only like 3 catches for 35 yards, something crazy like that. Actually, let me give you some more accurate information. So 7 games, 3 catches, 35 yards. So I had that right. Anyhow, interesting, right? Interesting. When in his pro day, he was very similar to Knox, but the one thing that stood out is he had a vertical leap of 36.5 inches. Knox was 34.5, so that kind of stood out. So who knows? Played for San Diego State. Bills obviously scouted him. You know they did. And let's see what happens here. Now, it's interesting because during the season, you're able to bring up 2 practice squad players for every game. So essentially expanding your roster from 53 to 55. That'd be interesting to see if he gets called up there. And we'll know in the first few weeks if he's going to have any impact on this. I don't think he's just been given a good opportunity. Of course, what also is weird to me, though, within the last 30 days, he's been waived by 3 other teams, and then he's been picked up by us. So what are they seeing when they bring him on and then they quickly let him go? That's something we're going to find out real soon. So the tight end position, that's the biggest question mark on this team. But I think everything else that we've got going on could basically cover that up. And if Knox does play to his potential, watch out. So a little bit of a question mark there. But when you consider the fact that the offensive line, Josh Allen, I didn't even talk about the receiving core yet. We added Emmanuel Sanders, right? We lost John Brown last year. They didn't re-sign him, and speedster John Brown, he was riddled with injuries last year. Didn't play a whole bunch for us. But the previous season, he was before he had Diggs, he was Josh's main guy. But we filled that void with Emmanuel Sanders, and Emmanuel Sanders may not have the speed as Brown does, at least not at this point in his career. But he brings so much experience, so much leadership, and I'm excited about this. When you team him up with Diggs and Beasley, and folks, I'm telling you, Gabriel Davis is going to have a breakout year. This is going to be his year. I mean, whenever preseason, he already looked good. Last year when he was in, he made some huge plays, especially in the playoff game against Indy. I mean, the kid is a stud, and this is his breakout year. So if you haven't had your fantasy draft, make sure you lock him in later. You can get him later deeper in the draft. So lock him in. So there we go. Offense, rock solid. Question mark on tight end. Running backs, I think we're okay. I think it might be a good thing that we stayed with what we have. And that great offensive line is going to not only elevate the whole offense, but get that running game to another level. Defense. Let's talk about that defense. 11 defensive linemen we kept on the roster. 11, and they're all good. Are you kidding me? We bring him back, Star Latualea. Sorry, I always have a hard time saying his name. He opted out due to COVID last year. He's back. He's a stud. Then you consider Gregory Rousseau. We brought in, we signed F.A. Abada. We got Boogie Basham. I think Epenesa's going to have a huge breakout year this year. Huge. And Boogie, I thought, if you look back at my draft show, I thought we should have drafted him first and maybe went with a running back second, but they're making me eat my words. Rousseau is for sure Gregory Rousseau is the real deal. That guy is going to be a nightmare for offensive coordinators and for quarterbacks. So watch out for him. Boogie Basham, I also think will have a big impact. He's going to play various positions on that defensive line. He can play edge. He can play inside. So watch out for him. And then Epinesa. And then again, bringing back Starr. It's just primed for a huge jump. And this, to me, is the biggest impact. This is the one that I think takes us over the edge. Yes, I already talked about all the offense. We were already really good as an offense, and we didn't need to improve much better. But defense is where I believe we're getting to that next level. I mean, we put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. We just weren't getting sacks last year. I think that's going to change. Obviously, I think we're going to get more pressures, more sacks, more turnovers from that defensive front. And that makes everyone better, right? One of the other question marks I've had, our linebacker core, I believe, is great. Our middle linebacker, young guy, Trey Edmonds, is just such an athletic person. I mean, when you consider he's 245, he can run like a deer. He's 6'4", 6'5", huge wingspan. The guy is amazing, and what I feel that I've been seeing, I tell my friends last year, I complained about this a lot. It seems when he shoots the gap, he's taking the wrong angles, and I always see him just missing the guy, running right by him, or he's being blocked downfield too much, and I'm not sure why that is. But I just feel like he should be making more tackles at the line of scrimmage and in the backfield, and I believe with that in front of him, that's going to happen this year. They've also brought in Luke Kuechly, one of the best players at his position, and they brought him in to give these guys some tips from someone who was one of the best at that position. So that's only going to help. And I forgot to mention on the defensive line, the great Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith was there giving those young guys some lessons. So you factor those two things together, great defensive line, much better, I don't say much better, but better than last year, and that's going to make everyone that much better, and I think that's going to take Trey Edmonds up another notch as well. I think we're going to have a big rebound year from him. He's already, you might already consider him a great player, but I think he can get even better, and I think you'll see that this year. Now, we did struggle with the run, right? One of the things teams could do against us was run. But I believe we've handled that. I believe with Starr coming back and with these other guys like Boogie, I think we're going to plug up the holes just fine on the running game. So I'm not so worried about that. I just think I think teams are going to have to run on us. They're going to have to try to run because that defensive line is going to be putting tons of pressure on there, which I'm super excited about. So I already talked about the linebacking crew. Obviously, we have a great secondary. I mean, it's when you got Trey White there, just locking that side of the field down. And then Levi Wallace, no matter what, I mean, year after year, he gets challenged for that starting position, and he just keeps proving why he should be starting, and he's going to be the starter there. And I do think, they do rotate that side of the field a little bit more. So we'll see. We'll see Dane Jackson in there. We'll see a lot of Taron Johnson, who just makes huge plays. So we'll see him. And there's a lot of good things going on there on the cornerback situation, whether it's the nickelbacks or the corners. We're good there. And then, of course, we have two of the best safeties that you can ask for, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. And then one of our draft picks this year, Damar Hamlin. That guy was fantastic in preseason. He's all over the field. He's going to probably contribute special teams. He can... It's so nice to have a guy, adding that depth behind our starters in the event something happens. It's just great to feel secure that you have somebody good who's going to be able to come in and fill the void if they need to. Yes, he's young. Yes, he's got a lot to learn. But where he is right now in his career is already just looking very, very good. So offense, defense, special teams, Tyler Bassey's rock solid. So we're good there. And let me know what you guys think. Was there anything you felt we didn't elevate enough in? Are there places, are you agreeing with me where I think we have made enough changes to get to the next level? Let me know. So as far as any surprises for the cuts, there really was only one, and that was Jacob Hollister. Now Jacob Hollister, I had him inked in at tight end number one. He just looked good during preseason. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what the coaches see during practices. Obviously, they're the experts. I'm going to have to trust them. All I know is that what I saw on the field was much better than what Max. But again, it was preseason. I get it. You're playing against third and fourth stringers at some point in time. But anyhow, that was the biggest surprise as far as a cut. And then I was surprised to see Daryl Johnson get traded for just a sixth round pick. Carolina, I believe, got a steal. I was talking about this guy after every preseason game. Every time I watch these games back, I just cannot believe the amount of pressure. He was disrupting plays constantly. And when you consider a guy who's been working with one of the best teams in the league and against some of the best offensive linemen in the league, and then Carolina gets him for just a sixth round pick, that's a steal. That's a steal. I wish him all the best. I believe Carolina has a starter within 1 to 2 years from this guy. I truly believe that. We'll see how that pans out. So other things I wanted to kind of mention on the practice squad. One guy I was pulling for, and we were, if you watch my previous shows, I talked about him, and that was Elijah Griffin, right? Elijah Griffin's a guy my son and I met at a flag football game up here in Southern California, and we walked up to him. He had the Bills gear on. We said hi to him. Hey, we're Bills fans. What's your connection to Buffalo? He says, I was just signed as an undrafted free agent. My son, who is 9 years old, was 8 at the time, was just so excited to meet a professional football player in person. And Elijah was super nice to us, took some pictures with us. And again, I think I talk about him in many of my shows, but I showed a couple pictures in the show where I did the prediction for the Bills 2021 record. So if you want to check that out. Anyhow, he's the son of famous rapper Warren G, the nephew of Dr. Dre, some other cool reasons that we were pulling for him. Super good kid. I was happy to see him get back to the practice squad. So happy there. And then, again, on the practice squad, 15 of the 16 spots, other than Kahale Waring, were our guys. We cut these guys and we signed them. We cut them because we had to. You have to get down to 53, unfortunately. So we cut them, but we were able to bring them back onto the practice squad, and I'm super, super happy about that. So all 8 of our draft choices from this year are on the team in some way, and that is 5 that made the 53-man roster, and then 2 of them are on the practice squad. And I actually want to say, 6 made the active roster, with Marquis Stevenson being on injured reserve right now. So I do have a question for you guys, though. Marquis Stevenson, he's on IR, right? And this is a guy that I was also pulling for during the year. When I did my draft show early on, one of my first shows ever on this channel, I watched some video on this guy, and man, he can get to 60 in 2 strides, 0-60, and I thought he could do good things. And we saw some of that, right? In the first game, he had that huge play on 4th down, and then he had a 79-yard punt return. Unfortunately, he got injured. I was like, how did he get injured on that 79-yard return? I'm reading today that it happened earlier. So the foot was an issue before that return, and then he came back. He actually played a little bit in game 3, but then I think he got a concussion and had to leave the game. So my concern there is, I don't know why it is, certain players seem to get the injury bug more than others. And I'm hoping that's not a trend that continues with him. And if it doesn't, I think he can do special things for us. But I have to ask the question to you right now, how do we make space for him? Right? He's on the IR. He's eligible in week 4 to come off the IR. And I do think teams have 21 days, something like that, to make a decision whether he goes to the active roster. But let's say he does, and we bring him onto the active roster. How are we going to make space? So, I don't know. I'm looking at this roster, and I'm like, who would I let go to bring him on this team? And it's tough. I want to see him on this team. I'm the one who's been pulling for this guy all along. So I would love to hear what you guys think. Anyhow, that's kind of it for today. I wanted to talk to you. Thank you for, watching the channel. Thanks for coming out. Give me some comments. Again, I love comments. I love comments because you tell me whether or not I'm doing a good job. If I'm not doing a good job and you want to hear other things, let me know. That's how I get better. I've only had this channel going for 3 months, and I'm learning as I go. I'm not a professional speaker, but what I am is a die-hard Bills fan. I was born and raised in Buffalo. I love the Bills. I love the Sabres. I love everything about Buffalo. Even though I'm not living there right now, and many of you are in the same situation where you were born there. You have roots there, and life took you elsewhere. But yeah, comments a great way for me to meet you. One of the reasons for doing this channel was meeting more Bills Mafia all over the place, whether it's the country or in the world. I don't care. I'd love to meet new people. Just like I met, Elijah. Just walked up. I see a guy wearing, or a girl wearing a Bills colors. I'm going to walk up to him and introduce myself, and you never knew who you're going to meet. So anyhow, that's kind of it for this week. I am so excited. We got the Steelers coming up next Sunday. Again, make sure you drop a nickel on that subscribe button, like, comment, and be sure to check back soon for this amazing, amazing giveaway that's going to happen. We're a small channel, 3 months in, and again, we wanted to do something special, and I think we've come up with that. And again, it's just not all about getting subscribers for us. It's about helping other people, and I think you're going to like the way we've done the giveaway. So check us out soon. I will see you next week. We'll be doing either a post-game or a pre-game. If I can fit both in, I'll do both. I've always said how cool it'd be to celebrate the good times and then help each other through the bad times. I'm sure there'll be a few rough games, hopefully not many. I'm predicting a 13-4, if not better, record from our Bills. Let's go Buffalo. I'll see you next week. Thanks again for checking out the channel. Bye now.